Hi everyone, this is Dr. Chhoda and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. I'm going to give you some new insight about what the Democrats are doing as far as a new $1.9 trillion stimulus package is concerned. The early reaction of the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer about what the Republicans are saying, and important comments from the Senate Minority Leader, the lead Republican in the Senate, Mitch McConnell, about all matters that will not only impact the stimulus but the future of all legislation and potentially pretty much everything else that President Biden wants to do. Welcome to everybody. My name is Dr. Chhoda with Ignition Time. This right here is a little bit of information about me. The Ignition Time channel is about the country, it's about the economy, and it's about your money. Let's get started. On your screen, you'll see a tweet from Jeff Stein from the Washington Post. And Jeff writes that congressional Democrats that we've spoken to, meaning Jeff Stein in the Washington Post, say that they plan to use President Biden's $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan as a starting point. Remember, they want to use this as a starting point for their efforts to try and quickly pass a stimulus package. So keep in mind, this is their opening salvo, if you will. They are open to negotiating. We did hear directly from President Biden saying he would be open to adjusting, modifying, lowering the income threshold to get more stimulus checks. So it's very clear that the Democrats are here to deal. But at the same time, it's very clear that Chuck Schumer, the Senate Majority Leader, is pretty much taking a no-nonsense approach and saying, hey, we're going to get stuff done even if Mitch McConnell is not on board. Here's a new article on your screen from the Washington Post, which reads, Democrats turn to quick action on the Biden COVID relief plan, the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan, after a power sharing deal in the Senate. This power sharing deal has been struck in the Senate after the Senate Minority Leader, Mitch McConnell, got the assurances that he needed that the filibuster would not be terminated. Now, I've used the word filibuster quite a bit, and you've heard this word being thrown around a lot. What exactly does the filibuster mean? The filibuster is basically the last vestige, the last remnant, if you will, of power for the minority party in the United States Senate. So what does filibuster actually mean? Here's a definition of filibuster from Wikipedia. Filibuster is a tactic of obstruction inside the United States Senate to prevent a measure from being brought to the floor for a vote. The most common form occurs when one or more senators attempt to delay or block a vote on a bill by extending debate on the measure. So let's say the Democrats bring to the floor of the Senate a vote for the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan. Someone like Rand Paul could say, I want to further debate this, or I want to obstruct it. So what this does is it gives the minority party an opportunity to block a vote or to prevent debate on an important topic from passing the United States Senate. It's a very, very important measure for the minority party, which currently is a Republican party. And keep in mind that in the past, the problem that we had was that the previous, in another world, the previous Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell did not bring certain things to the floor of the Senate for a vote. Now, even if Chuck Schumer, the new Senate Majority Leader, in fact, there he is. Hello, Chuck. If he brings a vote to the floor of the House, anyone from Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell saying, there he is. Hello, Mitch. Anyone from the Republican team could try and block or obstruct that passage from being voted on, from being debated on the floor of the Senate, with endless procedural motions and endless ways to essentially block anything from getting through the US Senate to the president's desk for signing. Remember, you have a bill that needs to be passed in the US Senate, again, led by the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, with the Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell standing by, and then only then can it go to President Biden's desk for signature. There he is, President Biden. Hello, President Biden. So this is essentially the trifecta, if you will, and it is a pretty complex situation. You've heard me talk about the chessboard before. The different players on the chessboard are President Biden, Chuck Schumer, the Senate Majority Leader, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. So now we have quite a situation, quite a conundrum, if you will. And here's the big news, folks. The Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, there he is again. Hello, Chuck. He has said the work must move forward, preferably with our Republican colleagues, but without them, if we must, time is of the essence to address this crisis. Schumer also said, I'm glad we're finally able to get the Senate up and running. My only regret is that it took so long. He's talking about trying to pass the $1.9 trillion package, the American Rescue Plan. Now, keep in mind that publicly, the Biden administration is trying to get Republicans on board. But behind the scenes, they already have Plan B, and they're planning on passing some form of stimulus. We'll have to wait and see how big it is through the process of reconciliation. Now, what's interesting is that Democratic leaders in both the House and the Senate are planning to introduce a budget resolution as early as Monday next week that could come to a vote next week. And what this resolution would do is essentially instruct committees to take President Biden's $1.9 trillion proposal plan and then codify it. Codify it meaning make it into an actual bill, an actual piece of legislation that can then be debated on, that can then be voted on, that can then pass the House and the Senate, and then go to the president's desk for signature. And if the Democrats don't get enough support from the Republicans, they plan on using reconciliation to ram it through. It's very clear that this is a major priority for the administration. Here's a comment from Jennifer Psaki, who's a White House press secretary. She said it's critical that we don't get anywhere near the March cliff. People need security, and what we're trying to do now is provide that. She's alluding to the fact that when the $600 a week booster, remember that in another day and age, remember when that expired in the end of July, the negotiations took months and months, and then the bill was signed by former President Trump right at the last minute, and that if it had been delayed any further, it could have resulted in a loss of unemployment benefits for millions of Americans. So things were left right up until the last minute, and basically what Psaki is saying is that the Democrats don't want to wait until the end this time. Now keep in mind, if the filibuster survives, then the Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell and other senators could potentially block it. What Republicans could do is exercise their right to object to routine business, including the business of passing this $1.9 trillion package. Here's a comment from the Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. None of us on either side want to live in a scorched earth Senate. This gambit would not speed the Democrats' ambitions, it would delay them terribly. In fact, he had some strong comments about the filibuster, and he actually spoke on the floor of the Senate today and said, hey, it was me who tried to retain the filibuster in the past, even though Trump wanted me to get rid of the filibuster. And he did say that I was the victim of many tweets. And he talked about the importance of keeping the filibuster. And he said without the filibuster, it would lead to the death, to the end of the US Senate. Pretty strong comments from the Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. He also said a further escalation in the confrontation between the Republicans and the Democrats would cause business in the Senate to, I quote, move at a snail's pace and drain comity and consent from this body to a degree that would be unparalleled in living memory. In short, he's saying, hey, let's work together, otherwise nothing's going to get done. In fact, let's hear comments from the Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell on the importance of the filibuster, without which the United States Senate could break. His words. Let's roll the tape and watch.
Now, it should not be news that a few members of the majority pledge they won't tear up a central rule. But the Democratic leader was reluctant to repeat the step I took as majority leader in unified government when I ruled out that step on principle. Rather than relying on the Democratic leader, I took the discussion directly to his members. Basic arithmetic now ensures that there are not enough votes to break the rule. This victory will let us move forward with a 50-50 power-sharing agreement containing all the elements of the 2001 model, because it will sit on the very same foundation. 4 years ago, Republicans had just one unified control. President Trump and others pressured us heavily, me in particular, to scrap this rule when it was protecting the Democratic minority. But we stood firm. I stood firm, endured many tweets on the subject. I said we would not do that to our colleagues in the minority. No short-term policy win justifies destroying the Senate as we know it, especially since laws would become so brittle and reversible. It would become immediately and painfully clear to the Democratic majority that they had indeed just broken the Senate. This gambit would not speed the Democrats' ambitions. It would delay them terribly. And it would hamstring the Biden presidency over a power grab, which the president has spent decades warning against and still opposes. Finally, at some point, the shoe would find its way to the other foot. When Republicans next control the government, we'd be able to repeal every bill that had just been rammed through.
And folks, while all this is happening, the Senate Majority Leader, Chuck Schumer, there he is. Hello, Chuck. Did in fact react to what the Republicans have been saying. Once again, here's the Senate Minority Leader, Mitch McConnell. Hello, Mitch. Chuck Schumer said that comments from the Republicans were disheartening, and he said he's not feeling very encouraged. So again, it looks like publicly the Democrats are trying to get the Republicans on board. The Republicans aren't playing ball, and the Democrats are like, you know what, we're just going to jam it through. Let's wait and see what happens. In fact, let's take a look at this important comment from Chuck Schumer at a press conference today. Let's roll the tape.
You want to have a bipartisan deal and that you want to see what the details are in the package before you talk about things like reconciliation. How long are you willing to wait on Republicans to come to the table and negotiate something before you go down a road like reconciliation?
We have to see what they say in the next few days. Some of the comments, admittedly, have been disheartening. Some of them have rejected things right now, but we're always hopeful that some of them will see the light. And remember, even on reconciliation, Republicans can join us and vote for it. That's happened many times in the past. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much for watching, everybody. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time. If you don't know anything about me, check out my video. You'll learn a little bit more about who I am, what my journey has been like, and why you should listen to me. This channel, the Ignition Time channel, is about the country, it's about the economy, and it's about your money. I cover the complex world of politics so you understand all the games that are being played. Here's a chessboard on your screen. The players in the game right now are President Biden, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, and the new Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. These are the games that are being played. We have to take several different things into consideration in this new world that we live in, which is why I break down the complex world of politics. I help you understand what President Biden is thinking. I help you understand what House Speaker Pelosi is thinking. I help you understand what the underlying agenda and the motivations are of the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and the Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. I help you make sense of the complex world of politics and help you understand what's going on in the economy so you can make better decisions about your money. If you learned something new from this video, please consider clicking the like button. Please subscribe. Please enable notifications. I would really appreciate that. The name of our channel is Ignition Time. By the way, gently tap the like button. Don't do it in a way where you smash the screen. I don't want that. Let's clear that up. I don't want that. I want you to be happy when you're watching my videos. I want to be able to give you balanced news, real news. I want there to be a confetti-like atmosphere. I want us to be in dance mode. I want us to be happy. I want us to put that crazy, crazy year of 2020 behind us. I want there to be tons and tons of money in your bank account like you see here. I want you to be happy. I want you to be successful. And that's what this channel is all about. You'll find the links to all of our resources in the description section below. So definitely check out our resource section. Also, please comment below and engage with our community. Our community is bipartisan. It's growing very rapidly, and I invite you to engage with our community. There have been many new friendships formed in the community over the past several months, so I'm really excited about that. Also, please share this video with just 2 friends or family members, 2 friends or family members. I would appreciate that. And as always, you're welcome back to the channel. And also, please bookmark our channel. Simply go to youtube.com/ignition time. That's youtube.com/ignition time and bookmark our channel so you never miss a single notification. Speaking of notifications, follow us on Instagram. Our Instagram handle is ignition_time, and also follow us on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is also ignition_time. That's right here. In fact, here's my Twitter feed for you, and you'll see all the latest news stories I'm reading, everything. You'll be able to follow the news along with me, and I retweet a lot of important information in real time, which makes my Twitter feed hopefully a valuable source of information, and that's why it's growing so quickly. So I invite you to follow me on Twitter. Finally, one more time, please click like, please subscribe, please enable notifications. I would really appreciate that. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time.